I'm Harrison Graham, and you're watching Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. Today's mailbag video is sponsored by Rex MD. If you're looking to get back on track in the bedroom, maybe you've been stuck in neutral recently, Rex MD is going to help you out. RexMD.com/chat. You can get great deals on branded or generic Cialis or Viagra. We'll tell you a little bit more about them later on in the show. Let's start today's mailbag with Marcus Ellis. Bengals could cut Joe Mixon. Would you mind Mixon? I wouldn't mind him. He's making what? I think he signed for about $12 million per year on that deal with Cincy. So if they're cutting him, he's probably not getting that. $8 million a year, 2 years, $16 million for Joe Mixon. Would you rather have Joe Mixon or David Montgomery if all things are equal? I love Monty, and Joe Mixon, has the checkered past. I do think Mixon's probably a little bit of a better back. I don't think it's a huge gap, but I think he's a little more proven. Depends. I think it would come down to money. If Monty was cheaper, I'd rather have Monty, but if it was equal, maybe I'd take Mixon. I don't know. It's an interesting one. K-Down, we number one on the waiver wire, so we can sign anyone who's cut first, correct? If so, why no one talking about that? Well, because guys who are getting cut right now, like veterans, they don't hit waivers. Like Derrick Carter, for example, is not hitting waivers. Or guys that do hit waivers, like I'd have to double check, but Keenan Allen, for example. No one's claiming him at his cap hit, I don't think. Now, maybe the Bears would. They have cap space, but I think a lot of the vets, they skip waivers, so that's the main reason. So, like, the guys that are getting cut, it's like these back into the roster guys. So, yeah, they can throw a waiver claim in or whatever, but I think that's the reason why. I think the number one in the waiver order becomes a bigger deal after, like, roster cuts, after training camp, because if they like a guy that got cut from another team, they got first crack at him. Like, they know they will get him. So I think that's really when it will become a bigger factor. Bear down for life says, with Al-Quadin Muhammad getting cut, who's next for Chicago? It's a good question. So obviously that was reported last week that AQM is going to get cut, and for good reason. He, to put it nicely, stunk in 2022. 6.5 sacks in 21 with Indianapolis. Knows the flu system. Comes over, has 1 sack in Chicago. Not sure what happened, but he wasn't good at all. These are some other players I would monitor. Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick on the offensive line. Cutting both those guys would save you money. We'll see if that happens. Kindle Vildor entering the final year of his rookie deal. You'd save just under $3 million if you cut him. By the end of last year with injuries, he wasn't really starting. Travis Gibson, I would probably keep him because you need depth on the defensive line, but you could cut him. Same with Justin Jones, would probably keep him, but cutting him, you'd save about $4.5 million if you do want to go to that route. So I'm kind of looking at Cody Whitehair and Lucas Patrick. What say you? Who do you think gets cut next? Let us know in the comment section below. Which Bears player do you think will be on the chopping block? Papichulo sits. Can Skoronski be a Quentin Nelson at guard? Well, look, Quentin Nelson, I know the last couple of years he hasn't been like all-pro level, but he's still really good. I don't know if Skoronski can be what Nelson was at his peak, but I think he can be very good. I think he can be a starting tackle or guard in this league for a long time. And look, I think he's a guy, if you do trade down, he's a prime trade down candidate. Like, the Washington trade in our trade ideas video is a perfect example. Skoronski's sitting there at 16, draft him. Like, that's a no-brainer. Tennessee at 11, if you're picking there, I think that's kind of the range you're looking at. Obviously, you're not going to take him at 1. I don't think you're going to take him at 4 if you trade with Indy. But, if you get beyond 7 or 8, I think that could be the range for him, and you can plug and play him potentially at guard, but also potentially at tackle. Moneyman Timo, what are the odds we snag Saquon Barkley in free agency? Well, I don't think he's going to get franchise tagged. I think Daniel Jones is. We'll see what happens in New York. But if they have to tag Jones, then Barkley's going to hit the open market, and then it's dealer's choice. I think the Bears might have some interest. I don't know if they want to overpay for running back, but maybe they do. Maybe they want to pair a dynamic back with Justin Fields and, kind of create this fun, dynamic backfield in Chicago. So it's hard to say, but I think there'd be some interest. I've told you guys I would not overpay for Barkley, but I do think there is a chance that the Bears would feel differently than I do. Now, something we could all agree on is we want to be feeling our best in the bedroom, after a fun night with your significant other, and, it's time to get down and frisky. You want to be able to deliver at the highest level. Well, sometimes, your little buddy down there just doesn't do what you need it to. And, sometimes that comes with a lack of confidence, but sometimes we just need a little extra push. And RexMD, rexmd.com/chat, going to help you kind of get to the finish line, if you will. They are here to help you out even when you've had too many beers. RexMD is FDA approved and the most trusted leader in men's telehealth. They have sponsored today's episode of Bears Now to help you be prepared. RexMD has made it simple, easy, cost-effective to help all the men out there last longer and feel more confident in the bedroom. They help you get generic and branded Viagra easy, and everything's online. That's the best part. You don't have to take an embarrassing trip to the doctor. They're going to ship you these prescriptions straight to your doorstep. No insurance, no copays, good to go. Pricing's awesome, 90% off with the generic brands there. Only $2 per dose. That's the best deal they've ever offered. So go to rexmd.com/chat. Take advantage of this opportunity. That is rexmd.com/chat. Listen, you get going with RexMD. It's going to be a fun night in the bedroom. Go check it out. Link in the description and in the comment section down below. From Michael P. in all caps, would you be interested in Ramsey? How much would you be willing to give up? Yeah, there's been some Jalen Ramsey trade rumors. Look, he did start to slip last year. I know he had a decent amount of picks. I think he had 4 or 5, but he got beat more too. Look, you put Jalen Ramsey opposite of Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon in the slot. That's pretty fun cornerback group. I do think corner is an underrated need for this team. I like Jalen Johnson, but Kyler Gordon still has a lot to prove, and you don't really have that third corner right now. So if you get Ramsey in there, Gordon's your nickel. I think that would be pretty good. I wouldn't trade a first or a second for him, I don't think, but maybe a middle round pick because you're taking on a big salary. I would be open to that. So I'm interested. It just it depends on cost. I would not overpay in draft assets for Jalen Ramsey. From J-Man Beck, what receiver should we get? I mean, look, you're talking draft. You got Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt, Zay Flowers. Those are kind of like the top 6 guys right now. If you're talking free agency, Juju, I think Michael Thomas is going to get cut, so he'll be available. Keenan Allen could get cut. I think if Keenan Allen gets cut, he instantly becomes my top guy. Like, if you could get him on like a 2 or 3 year deal, I would do that in a heartbeat. And then, trade market. DeAndre Hopkins, I think there's a good chance it gets traded. I doubt T. Higgins will get traded, but you could flirt with that idea with Cincinnati. Who are the other trade guys out there, Rolly, at receiver that have been mentioned as potential trade? Brandon Cooks, maybe like a Tyler Boyd, someone like that. Mike Evans or Chris Godwin if Tampa blows it up a bit. So there's guys out there. I want DeAndre Hopkins if you're going to trade for somebody. So that's who I would look at. TD Productions, if they trade back with the Colts to number 4 and got Buckner in a trade, but Anderson was already picked, would you still draft Carter? I wouldn't shut the door on drafting Carter. Like, I don't think there's really any scenario where you shouldn't at least consider Jalen Carter. If you sign 2 defensive tackles, like if you go Draymond Jones and Daron Payne or something, okay, yeah, you're not going to draft Jalen Carter. But if you only get one guy, like, pairing Carter with that guy is still fun to think about, and it's still something you should be able to make work. So I would still be open to it for sure. Maybe I would trade down again. It's hard to say, but I don't think it's like, we can't draft Jalen Carter because we have DeForest Buckner now. Like, I don't think you should operate that way. If you want more Chicago Bears mailbag videos, we go live every Tuesday at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. That's when we answer all these questions. So subscribe, turn on your notifications, and never miss out on our mailbag videos and, of course, all our other videos on the channel. From Wolf Jaws to K22, if the Titans call for number 1, would Derrick Henry be an option? The window for Tennessee is slammed shut. I mean, look, I'm not saying I wouldn't take Henry in a trade down with Tennessee, but, like, I would much rather want Jeffrey Simmons or someone like that. Like, if I'm only getting Henry as a player from Tennessee, then I probably want 3 firsts. If it's Simmons, 2 firsts is fine because Simmons is a hell of a player at a position of need that can help you for a while. How long is Derrick Henry going to be a focal point when this team is contending? maybe, like if you're contending in 2024, maybe this team is a fringe playoff team this year, but I don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender in 23. He's an aging running back with a lot of mileage. I don't think he'd be a guy I would focus on in a trade with the Titans if I was Ryan Poles. From William Woodlocky, is Tyree Wilson a safer pick than Will Anderson 4-3 edge? I still think Anderson's safer. I know he's a little bit lighter, like he's 240, 245, and a lot of 4-3 edge guys are 250, 260 plus, but he's so much more proven. And I love Tyree Wilson. He's a freak athlete. Daniel Jeremiah mocked him higher than Will Anderson in his latest mock, and this is nothing against Tyree Wilson. I just think Anderson's one of the safest players in the draft, period. I think at worst, he's a really good pass rusher. At best, he's generational. He's Von Miller. So I would rather go that route, but I like Tyree Wilson. He's got crazy athletic traits, and we know Poles and Eberflus value that quite a bit. William Bumer? Deion Jones or Devin Bush? It's a tough one. Deion Jones? I think Bush is a tick younger. Might lean Deion Jones. Remember Bush had those kind of not off the field. He had those mental health issues, which, hey, mental health is a very serious thing, but that, he kind of struggled for a couple of years because of that, so maybe there's a little bit more risk involved there. I don't know. I do think getting a second linebacker next to Jack Sanborn, TJ Edwards maybe, could be something that could be in the works. Now, what are you more excited for? Type F for free agency or D for the draft? Let us know in the comment section below. The Bears have the most cap space and the number one pick, so there's reasons to be excited for both. You can type B if it's both. Busy Womack, do we draft a cornerback high or free agency for big money? I don't think they'd spend big money in free agency, but I could see them signing like a middle-of-the-pack CB2 type, like an Anthony Brown or someone like that. I could see that. I don't think they're going to sign like a top-tier corner, but keep an eye. How about this? Byron Jones. If the Dolphins cut Byron Jones, which I could see happening, was hurt all of last year, tore the Achilles the year before, just come in and be a CB2. I mean, he was a CB1 for a while, and before this injury was still very good. And I think he's only like 30. Like, he's not that old. Now, Achilles, corner, I get it. But, if you could get Byron Jones on a one-year discount, I would definitely pursue that. All right, last one here, unless we get a super chat. Nick Selvey, a lot of us so-called experts want the Bears to trade Fields and draft Bryce Young. I don't understand what makes Young so special. He's short and undersized. Yeah, he's definitely undersized. There's no doubt. But I think some things Young does well is he's I think he's a really good anticipation thrower. He does see the field pretty well. He's creative in the pocket. Now, he needs to improve in his footwork. And, yeah, I mean, look, if he weighs in at like 180, 185, that's concerning. There's no doubt about it. I think Fields coming out was a better prospect, bigger, faster, stronger, just as productive at the college level. So I would not go that route with what all these people were saying, but I don't want to diminish Bryce Young either. Like, he's a good talent. If he was 6'2", 220, I think he would be such a surefire number one overall pick. It wouldn't even be funny. But it's not just that he's short. It's that he's light. Like, Kyler Murray was short, but he was over 200 pounds, I believe. Like, Bryce Young might be 190. Like, it's a little concerning for teams looking for a quarterback. All right, that's going to do it for today's mailbag. Appreciate you guys so much. If you want to follow me on social media, keep up with what I'm doing over there. It's at HGramNFL on Instagram and on Twitter. DMs are always open if you have any Bears, NFL, life questions, whatever. I'm an open book. Hit me up at HGramNFL. We could chop it up over there as well.